sevens, come on, lucky Jesus, or something like that. It's wonderful to have some kind of an emotional attachment to Jesus, but boy, oh boy, you better know what you believe when hard times hit. When the difficulties of life hit, or when you're in that liminal space and you have no particular answer about what's next or where's this thing going, the doctor tells you have cancer, and that's all you know right now. And the doctor doesn't, he tries to tell you a little bit about, how many people survive this or whatever, but you're fearful. And in that liminal space, what happens to you? You better know what it is you believe, not just how you feel, because your feelings ebb and flow. And your feelings are going to catch you off guard. And sometimes our feelings even defeat us. But there's got to be something more than that. And so for Thomas and the other disciples, that second visit was about belief. This is the third time that Jesus meets with them. And we're not going to read the rest of the story in John 21. It's a heartwarming story of an encounter between Jesus and Peter. Because this visit had two purposes to it. The first is going to be about assigning them mission, and the second visit is going to be about moving Peter, especially, from shame to forgiveness. I'm not going to preach on that today, but it's a great sermon about how to look at the failure of Peter when he had told Jesus, they're not going to kill you, I'm not going to let them, I'll stand with you, all the way to the end. And the first opportunity he has to do it, the very first opportunity, he said, whoa, I don't even know him. He denies knowing Jesus. That's the last encounter he has with Jesus. Jesus hears him say it. I don't even know the man. And so Peter's been living, you talk about liminal space that's hard and junky and self-defeating. That shame. The rest of John chapter 21 is Jesus bringing Peter to forgiveness. While waiting in that liminal space, Peter and the others decide to do what I would often do, and that is, at least in that moment in time, go back to what I know how to do. Go back to what I know that I can do something. Peter and his other friends were fishermen. They lived on the Sea of Galilee all their lives. They were little boys together in class. They grew up. Their dads and grandfathers were fishermen on the Sea of Galilee. That's all that they knew. So what does Peter do? He says, I'm going back fishing. And so they go back, and here's the crummy part of this. I mean, it just goes from bad to worse. They go back to what they know to do, what they know how to do, what they are experts in, what people give them money to do. And it failed that night. In the morning, some guy on the beach rubs it in and says, hey, how's the fishing going? Catch anything? No, as if you're making me say it out loud. No, I failed at this. That's like liminal space, but down at the bottom of liminal space at this point. And that didn't even work out. Sometimes empty nets can happen even to the best of Christ followers. Something that I got out of this story. We're not talking just anybody, no names, except for the two disciples that didn't get their names in. But the rest of them, they're superstars in the faith. These are superstar guys. These are Peter, James, John, the sons of Zebedee. I mean, these are ones that 2,000 years later we hold up. If you're in the Catholic Church, they have statues to these guys. These are the heroes of the faith. And I don't know that they can get any lower than what they are right now. It's just good to know, if nothing else, because misery loves company, right? It's good to know that even the best of us have these lousy spaces that we can't figure out how to get out of, and we're stuck in that moment. The question that this story begs is, how do you get out of this? How do you get out of it? It's like when I went to my university, stepped out of high school, went to university, and I was so excited about getting to my very first class, and I took my first class. It was an 8 o'clock in the morning class. At the end of the week, the professor said, we're going to have our first exam. And so what I did was I paid deep attention. I took good notes. I figured I need to ace my first exam if I'm going to have a good career here, to show them that I'm ready for college. And I studied all week long. I looked over my notes, and then I did what a lot of you did in college. I copied my notes to another piece of paper just to reinforce what I'm learning, things like that. And then the night before, what did I do? I crammed all night. Me and 3 of my buddies stayed up all night and asked each other questions to cover the material. I got an F on my first exam in university. How lousy is that? I mean, when I saw it, I could hardly believe it. And I thought to myself, nuts, I can't even do this. And I thought I was so ready for this. Empty effort is still one of the hardest experiences in life. Whether a bunch of you are trying to plan on something, some event, and nobody shows up, or hardly anybody shows up, or lack of interest or whatever, there's just something about effort that you put in, and yet it's empty effort, is still one of the hardest experiences to go through in life. But I have some good news. Now, for the disciples, it was about fishing. The great news is, did you know when Jesus said, I'll be with you always, all the way to the end of the age, he didn't just mean at weddings or, thank God he's with us, at funerals or, the big events, the big crises moments. Did you know that he is with you when you go fishing? He's with me. It took me a while to learn this. He is with me. I get up about 5:15 in the morning every morning. I don't know. I just can't sleep past that time. So I get up. I make a pot of coffee for Anita and I. I'm the first one down for about an hour before she stirs and gets up and all of that. And it's in those, I love the quiet of that morning. I love, just as the sun is beginning to come up, and we have a tree right behind our house, right literally behind the house, that attracts a lot of different kinds of birds, cardinals and blue jays, and it's really beautiful. And I love to see them flitting around, and I think I see the same ones every day, that kind of a thing. And and I'm starting to give them names, and oh, how cute that is, right? Aw, And it's really wonderful. It's really wonderful and quiet. It took me a while for Jesus to get through to me to say, Karl, I'm sitting right next to you, buddy. I'm right here with you, even in this peace and quiet. Why not at least say hello? Why not at least acknowledge? So now I begin my day. It's not over spiritual, it's not dramatic, but I begin the day, I get down and I make the pot of coffee and I say, Lord, good morning. Now there have been days when I was tempted to say, good Lord, it's morning, but I try to get it right. Good morning, Lord. Welcome to my life today. You gave me good rest last night. I don't know what the day holds. I know what my schedule says, because I only know what I know. I don't know what I don't know. But just acknowledging, Lord, you're the Lord of this day, because you know all things. This is one of the lessons that has to happen in this particular story. He is with them, and they didn't even recognize him. I kind of understand that, because I know what it's like to be in these moments, and I'm so caught up in the moment of the birds or whatever else it is, or in the hallway waiting for my Nana, or whatever it is. I get so caught up in that moment that I forget I'm not alone. Powerful lesson, maybe the most important lesson out of this, is that when Jesus said, I'll be with you always, right to the end of the age, he meant every word of what he said. Basically, he's saying what he taught them earlier. I'm the vine, you're the branches. Don't replace me. Don't try to become the vine. Don't think you have to have all the answers. Don't think you need to navigate life all by yourself. I'll be with you in the hard parts when you really need me, and I'll be with you in the quiet parts when you don't even know you need me, because you think you're so smart, you're going to figure it all out all by yourself. You're only going to call on me in the difficulties of the days. I'm here when you think you're smart and you know everything. That was a lesson. For them, they went back to what they knew. They were experts in. They didn't have to think twice about how to fish. So along comes this guy on the beach, and he says to them, you didn't catch anything, right? No. Tell you what, take those nets, the exact same nets, the exact same boat, the exact same Sea of Galilee, and your exact same expertise as fishermen. Pick up the nets, take them 10 feet, and drop them here. you're going to catch a lot of fish. You're kidding. As if fish know the difference between where I am and 10 feet over here. That many fish that's going to make it worth our while. So along comes Jesus, and he says to them, now, by the way, Jesus wasn't a fisherman. He was a carpenter. His daddy was a carpenter. His granddaddy was a carpenter. It's what he knew. He didn't live near the Sea of Galilee until late in his life. And he takes them on even in their field of expertise. What do? So they did it. It says, when they did. That's kind of important to me in reading this story about Jesus and about these particular disciples. And I don't know if they began to remember at that moment. Probably Peter did. He started to say, this is familiar. This is, I don't know what about this moment here. This is a little familiar to me. Well, they do it, and they catch so many fish, a large number of fish. Later on, it says it was a large number of fish, more than 150 fish they catch in these nets that they didn't catch any 10 feet on this side. It makes no sense. Jesus didn't intend it to make sense. He was not talking about location. He was talking about know who I am and listen to me, because life is about to get even more difficult, disciples. Life is going to get confusing. You can't just rely on what you think you know. You've got to include me. You're not the vine. I am. I will bring to you the life and the solutions and the answers. You need to trust me. And so for the disciples, they put it over there, and they catch a large number of fish. And then it wasn't even Peter. It was one of the other guys. It says in verse 7, then the disciple whom Jesus loved, this is John, the guy that's writing the story, the account, it's the Lord. And as soon as Simon Peter heard him say it's the Lord, he wrapped his outer garment around him, and he jumped into the water, and he swam back, because, as soon as the other disciple said it's the Lord, Peter says, I knew it. I remember this story because it goes back 3 years earlier. The very first time Peter meets Jesus, this is the most heartwarming part of the story. The very first time Peter and Jesus meet each other, Peter's fishing. And they've been out all night, and they caught nothing. Have you heard the story before? And now they're up on the shore. When Jesus walks up, it's early morning, they're mending their nets. They're already in for the day. They're done fishing all night. Jesus says, tell you what, guys, you don't even know me, I know that, but if you go out where you were and then just go a little deeper, you're going to catch all kinds of fish. Now, Peter answers Jesus in that first story, well, we've been out all night, and they're just not there right now. For some reason, the fish aren't interested in what we're doing. And I love what Peter does. He doesn't even know this guy, Jesus, yet. He says, guys, what do you think? And he turns to Jesus, and he says, but because you say so, we'll go do it. And they caught such a large number that the nets began to break. They come back in, and what does Peter do? That very first encounter with Jesus, he runs over to him. He doesn't hug him. He falls at the feet of Jesus, and he says, would you mind going away? I'm a sinner. You're a holy man. I don't belong near you. Jesus picks him up, hugs him, and he says, you know what, guy? You're really good at fishing for fish. But if you sit with me, I'm going to make you a fisherman. You're going to catch people. For some reason, that ignited a flame in Peter that was just letting him go. And he realized that his call was to make this world a better place and to capture people for God. That was 3 years ago. So Peter remembers, by the way, if you continue in the story in John 21, that whole moving from shame to fruitfulness in his life, forgiveness, that's what the purpose was, is to remind Peter of why he met Jesus in the first place. So Jesus actually almost duplicates the story after the resurrection to take Peter back. Sometimes That has worked in my life. Sometimes we ought to go back. For some of you, it's been quite a while since you've reminded yourself of how you met Jesus. I think it's good every once in a while to go back. How bad life was without him. What difference he has made in your life. It just somehow, it helps you to face today knowing what your life was like before you knew Jesus Christ and the blessing. Our memories don't always work. Sometimes it needs to be intentional. A single act of obedience, like putting the net 10 feet over here, a single act of obedience can actually determine outcomes. Throw your net on the right side. Obedience can feel small in the moment, but it unlocks something that effort cannot. Your effort sometimes cannot unlock outcomes. And it stymies you, it frustrates you. But there's something about obedience. Maybe it's the prompting to forgive someone that has hurt you. And you said in your heart, you know what, I'm just going to navigate it. I'm just going to put it back in the back of my brain, not let it influence me or whatever. And you find it keeps popping up. But there's something about when Jesus says, you know, why not just forgive that person? Tell them. Actually say it to them. I forgive you. Or maybe you need to ask forgiveness. Maybe you're stuck. You know in your heart you've done something against somebody. That thing keeps bothering you. Why not that little act of obedience that the prompting of the vine in your life, Jesus, will say to you, why not go and offer forgiveness? Acting on Jesus' promptings will always get the best results, and this is where I'm going to close today. In fishing, it's not just having the right equipment. It's also knowing where the fish are. You will sometimes know where the fish are. You will have your best guesses. You might even have the little piece of equipment that tells you where some fish are. Jesus always knows where the fish are. You, Jesus. You will sometimes be able to figure things out and come to an outcome. Sometimes. At best, sometimes. Even with that fancy degree hanging on your wall. My friend, you have Jesus with you always to the end of the age. He will always know the best outcomes. Tap into him. Take it to him. Obey him. So you have today an empty net? Go to Jesus with it. Lord, where shall I put this net down to get the outcome that you desire, the best outcome? There's something about trusting in him. And for some of us as disciples of Christ, this is maybe where we are today. We need to learn how to engage the presence of Jesus into the regular activities, even just the casual places, because he knows always where the fish are. Resurrection living, which is post-resurrection. Resurrection living means to learn to listen differently. Even in what feels familiar to you, fishing, even what feels familiar to you, to still say, Lord, I know what I'm saying, but what are you saying? That means it's part of what it means to be a follower of Christ. Involve him. So cast your net again. You're in that painful liminal space today, whatever that is for you. Maybe you're in between jobs. Maybe your marriage is crumbling. Whatever it is, you're in that liminal space. You know what was, you don't know what's going to be. Cast your net again. You've been trying really hard to figure it out. Cast it again, only this time don't try harder. Try different. 10 feet can make the difference between success and failure. And what happens in those 10 feet is that you listen to Jesus, because he's the one that said, put the net over here. May I pray for you today? Let's pray.